complaining about that. Yeah.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Filth, Senor Filth, whatever you want to call it. Joined with my co-hosts, the Benevolent Asshole, and we have regulars, Trevor Brown, Jay Farmer, we say Farmer. And yeah, I guess we're just gonna kind of get into it. I guess the big news, of course, is what's that thing called? Tucker Carlson thing.
The J6 tapes.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
January 6th. That was a thing that happened.
Yeah. I don't want to throw you like a left, like a curveball, but I mean, I was just gonna like look up a couple of things, but just within like the last half hour before the show, like I found a bunch of stuff that hasn't been brought up. Stuff that there's like a lot of clips that came out after the J6 that are more controversial that people should actually take a look at than what he's showing.
Yeah, just
he hasn't really. In my opinion, he hasn't shown anything.
Yeah, he's shown little, but just what's put out kind of does sort to play a lot of the narrative, which is fun.
No. Here's the thing. The guy with the Nordic rune stones on his chest, American Kratos, as it were. See that him just sort of being strolled around like a lost puppy. That was worse than 9/11, guys. Okay, Okay. I'm fully blue pilled on this one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I'm telling you, right? Yeah, sure. There was fire, and people died on 9/11. And like it created the Patriot Act or whatever. But the thing is, Orange Man mean, Orange Man bad, J6 bad, Orange Man did J6.
Yeah, because I mean, no one can go into the Capitol at all. And that's what it says in the Constitution. So
the people's house became their house.
I mean, I think everyone here kind of wasn't surprised as to like any of this. But I'm mostly just more interested in just how this is affecting just. That's really the thing that kind of is most worrying to me is there's all this talk about like kind of thing, and something like this when it's literally like one half, like two halves have like a different kind of perspective on like history in itself. I don't see how there can be any cohesion going forward. Yeah, it's like history is going to just be very. There's going to be two parallel histories going on from here on out, and I'm not sure what the outcome of.
Well, there was already two alternative like narratives on what America was. America's the full of racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, maggot, fascist bigots, and always has and always will be, unless we radically change the system. The J6 view, basically. Then there's the normal view of it was America, like every other country, isn't perfect, but we are the only country to fight a war with itself to end slavery. Like even Britain, that basically went all across the world to end slavery. They didn't fight themselves on the streets. Like that's our ticket to say, hey, look, we're the world's first multiracial, multi-ethnic society where people actually get along, and like there's no legalized caste system. Yeah,
I'm hearing some weird echo. Anybody hear that?
Yeah, I've been hearing that. I'm not sure, like if I was assuming it was coming from one of your ends.
Give me 1 second. Let me see if I can fix it. I'm gonna shut my stuff off real quick.
Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. If there's something wrong with the audio, it's a problem for all of us later on. So, but like, there's an alternative to everything. 6 months ago, like half the country was saying math is racism.
Yeah.
And the other half was going, "What are you talking about?"
Yeah, and that's the one thing that is really bizarre to me. Because I mean, I think for us, we've always been kind of cultural political dorks, and we just followed this stuff just kind of as a sort of hobby kind of thing, and we never thought that. I mean, me personally, I always thought like political ideologues were just, the idea of being one is just stupid. And then to see that, like, I think the normal person thinks that if you are into politics, you have to be some kind of an ideologue. Everyone else is just like, no, we just like whatever the truth is. You know? So like this Jan 6th though is very much like one side is just so devoted to like holding on to a narrative, whatever that narrative is, and everyone else is just, we couldn't care less about.
I'm sorry, I just jumped in there like a monkey. No, but what I was gonna say, the biggest problem to me is that people, it doesn't matter like what your politics are or your opinion about things are, but the thing is, when you watch the media, like anything on television, we're not really being truly represented. Like if somebody comes out like and they say they're a Trump supporter or they're on the left or a Democrat, that people that gets the spotlight 100% of the time is not a true representation of what that person is. It's always going to be like a caricature and exaggeration or something to polarize both sides. It's not. It's all a bunch of actors that they put out there to get everybody to fight among each other.
Yeah,
And I think that the biggest thing that we need to expose, that Q shaman, that guy needs to be exposed. That guy was like an infiltrator too. It's not just people on the left, like the BLM people. The reason he's getting the spotlight is because he was one of those people that came in there and he's getting like all the photo ops. And the video that I know, like we don't have that much time, but I have like video from one of the accounts that got deleted prior. This is like way back, like that shows like more that's like more insightful than what Tucker Carlson actually showed with the whole. Obviously that this was like all a setup, and nothing that Tucker Carlson is going to show is going to like really remedy anything. I think we need to really dig down. This is stuff like the reason we don't know about it is because these are the accounts that get censored.
Yeah. Well, I mean, earlier today I saw there was a video of the shaman guy, I think like reading from his phone, like Donald Trump's text of like not being violent or something like that. I saw that today, and I don't think that was, I'm not sure if that was part of the policy.
A lot of people forget that this insurrection, siege, protests, whatever you want to call it.
Boom.
Once they the outside looked crazy, and I think that's on purpose, but the inside looked docile and slow and like leisurely pacing through the thing, also on purpose. This whole thing started before Trump's speech was over. So all the people that showed up to listen to Trump were not involved with what happened here. Everyone here, the vast majority of people here, were probably placed. Many of them, including the people that were arrested. You would want people on all sides, right? You want people to be able to represent the media, all aspects of things. So there's everyone that was there is highly likely to be involved with the intelligence agencies and be not on the up and up. I think the right versus left narrative we all know it's a misdirection, but we don't know what the actual route we should be looking at is. The fact that the internet is killing TV just as TV killed news or print media. So we're seeing their death spiral. They're attacking. They're using all their tricks. They're fighting to the end to not die. But fundamentally, they are the establishment. And so Daily Wire and Fox News both now treating these revelations like they're new and nobody knew that there was any questions in this direction, is them finally giving their audience, I think, support for Trump. They're trying to, that's the angle. And they're actually pushing away from DeSantis, because this kind of revelation leads to people being, the older generation, the older Republicans being like, wow, Trump, like there's a lot more going on here than what we thought, and these Democrats are crazy. And so just because like now the Daily Wire and Tucker Carlson is willing to talk about these things, the people that were paying attention the day of, including me, we have Twitter videos of the cops letting people in.
Yeah.
The videos were there from the beginning.
Yeah.
These news agencies
was complaining
intentionally.
That why are they just being let in?
Yeah.
Why are they just being let in? Like that was a major complaint. AOC made this complaint, but then like all of a sudden it was a massive insurrection and they all broke in and stuff like that. But even still, like the way these tapes have been released is the stupidest thing ever. The way these tapes have been released is designed to create a month after month track of, oh, look at how much deceit the institutions did, right? Look at how much they lied to you, this, that, and the other. They could have just very easily released batches of it every single day, 5 days out of the week, like they did with the Twitter files. The Twitter files could have been dumped all at once, just like how the Jan 6 stuff could have been dumped all at once. It would have gotten the same message across and would have achieved the same result in the end, which is, and because conservatives don't ever get in the habit of building infrastructure, and I mean conservative outside of like the Enlightenment right-left paradigm thing. But
what's really important to note is that the actual, like, whatever you want to call it, the riot or thing that happened on J6, that the mainstream media covered, only lasted about 2 hours. Yeah. So this is from like reports of people who were actually there. They report that actually only happened for like about 2 hours. But prior to that, there was like no mainstream media, no CBS, Fox News, or anything covering what actually happened before. Like all the just people just talking to each other, all the love that was like there before the whole thing happened. And clearly, like the only thing that they actually showed on the news was the whole little photo ops of accused shaman like getting in front of the camera, and then like this other person breaking the window. But I mean, there's videos too, like of actual people, not reporters, not Fox News, not these other fake news outlets. Well, they're trying to stop like the infiltrators. They're trying to stop the Antifa people. They're trying to stop people that yelling, "Hey, what are you doing? Like, stop doing that!" But yeah, that's stuff like that that's been out for years. Stuff like that's been out for years. Why isn't it that stuff didn't make it to CBS or even Fox News? None of that stuff came out. There's like videos of like what was the name of the Suzanne? Was it Suzanne Boyle or the one that was dragged out of the tunnel? Not Suzanne.
The only name I remember is Becky Badly.
But yeah, there's Victoria White. I have video of Victoria White getting hit over the head in the hallway, where she gets pulled into the hallway. She gets hit, and she's like getting hit in the head like repeatedly, and stuff like that. I don't understand, like, why isn't that stuff being shown? That's stuff that could have been shown from like day one. Why is it that like people like you and me are the ones sharing that stuff and not the mainstream media?
Well, I think
because the mainstream media has power, and people with power only exploit the types of victims that fit their grand narrative. People in power create paradigms and then use those paradigms that they create to enforce their rule. The reason why we care about these the reason why we care about these victims and why we're doing it on a show for it to be clipped up and synthesized and put out to a bunch of places to put it on our social media is because we are betting on the truth of the situation will bring power And so if we bet on the truth, then we win. They're betting on, well, we can spin this however we want because we're the powerful, and to an extent, they're right.
Yeah, like I meant Roseanne Boylan. That's what I was talking about. I'm really bad with names because I've been like looking up all these different names. And the other question that they're not asking is, there's at least 4 Capitol Police that committed suicide.
Yeah.
Why isn't that being why people are not asking the question? Just ask the question and start investigating. Start from there.
I think a lot of it too. Like we put in some time to at least do some sort of research that is outside the 10 minutes. Oh, this happened. This was bad. These people are bad. Like we kind of delve a little bit more into it because we're just that type of person. It's hard to kind of get people to pay attention to this stuff. I think a lot of it's like it's about like what you're into and what you're do, like looking into like break a national narrative. Like A, to the normal person that sounds crazy. You sound like a conspiracy theorist, blah blah blah. But B, it just sounds kind of boring for the regular thing that happened. And it's just kind of it's kind of a bummer that's how things are. Like I remember trying to explain to someone, I don't know how long ago it was, but there was this big thing where I think Donald Trump Jr. met with some Russian guy, and that was like a big news thing. And I remember like explaining like the whole thing to someone, like how it was nothing special about it, and you could just sense like the amount of like joy that person had to like talk shit about Trump just kind of went away, and they were just like, oh. So I don't know. Okay, it's hard to kind of deflate people's, because I think there's like a fun factor people have with like this whole insurrection thing. I think a lot of it has to do with maybe a lack of purpose, or like, people just want something to feel good.
I knew that poor working class farmer is responsible for all of my ills and is in fact a racist, sexist, homophobic, alt-right, neo-Nazi, MAGA, fascist Klansman. Also keep farming my food and powering my power plants so that I can shove kale down my nose as I ride my electric moped to my job, where I have AI do all the work for me.
Yeah.
Well, it's like a collectivist mentality, because you think you can change the world as long as you have the media, you have all your friends on your side. You believe in global warming. You believe you can change the world. You believe all this other stuff, all this pokey stuff. Because I remember this one guy who was like a Biden supporter, and he was eating the whole thing, the whole agenda, the whole narrative thing.
Yeah.
He felt he could change the whole. Yeah, he felt he could change the whole world, and he was like against Trump and all this other stuff. And as soon as I started showing him all this proof, like that goes that's contrary to what he believes in, he started getting mad and all this stuff. And eventually he gets to a point where he becomes very nihilistic and very kind of like, well, you know what? You can't change the world. I'm like, well, that's where what they want to do with us. Like when you have a collectivist mentality, you feel you can't change the world.
Yeah.
But when you're more like us, it doesn't matter like how many people are behind you. The only thing that matters is the truth.
Yeah.
I don't care like how many people agree with me, because the only thing that matters is the truth. That's the only thing that matters to me. I don't care. I could stand alone. The truth is what matters to me.
Yeah, it's weird. Like I said, like I've never noticed this, how not only like how tribal people are, but like how long have they been tribal? It's like I'm talking to older people, and I'm like, oh, they devoted to like their positions on things. So bizarre to me. It would be like that. It's not so much. It feels like they already have their position in their head that they must have been. Never like work their way. Like they start from the ending position, and then they think of good or bad, and then they just defend it without. They're just tied to it.
Most people can't separate that which is morally true with that which is factually true. So if you've built a moral system over time, that moral, like you'll give yourself examples of why that moral system is true. So for a lot of people, because it was on the media, academia is like in every TV show, like even Doctor Who had like some like pretend Trump thing in 2018. Like everyone was doing this, and so over time, people's morality became, well, that's just a thing that happens with everyone, is people's morality and people's politics end up naturally intertwining. So and then people also think in stories. So when the news media creates like this fabrication after fabrication, the Russian PP tape, Trump Russia possible collusion, like there's a remix by Placeboing. I highly recommend it. It's done very well. But then but if you combine all of the things, all of the lies about Trump, like first it was Trump Russia, Trump Ukraine, and then all this stuff. By the time it was 2018, we were getting to the point where it's like Trump didn't dump the fish food in the koi pond properly when you slice the footage up at the halfway point. Isn't Trump a monster?
Not even that. Just wait the extra 5 seconds. Oh, sorry.
Someone said white power. So Trump did retweet a video where someone said white power in it. He took it down shortly after, but Trump pushed people's buttons. And in his book, The Art of the Deal, he said the news will write about you if you're sensational and different and you provoke things. Add 30 years of practice, boom, now we see what's happening. He tries to provoke it. It's a masterful tactic because it's free advertising, you know.
Yeah.
Who has been talked about more than Trump over the last 10 years?
Andrew Tate. a lot more. Point still stands.
That reminds me, earlier I was looking through art. Trying to get some page. It had some pretty cool stuff. She had like this International Women's Day. The piece was nice, but like fuck the patriarchy, fuck all those Tate people or something like that. It kept me from friending her.
All the Tate people, like that's how you know, like you don't like even know who you're talking about.
Yeah, like I barely know much about Andrew Tate, but like all the clips I've seen of him like kind of gone viral. I mean, they're relatively kind of common sense, and they're not like they're presented in a way that sounds extreme if you're not used to it. But you know, there's this thing where like people just are told to hate someone, and just through the volume of that, like they just begin to hate someone just because this woman went out of the way to make a art piece, took a couple hours to make, just to say fuck Andrew Tate, which I'm pretty sure she's never listened to. Nothing, so.
Because people don't make decisions based on rationality. Like even us, we're not making this decision based on rationality. Like we've rationalized it after we've had the emotion of, oh man, these people treated me like a second-class citizen for my entire life. Like I know everyone here is like a little older than me, but for me, I've been treated very poorly by a select group of people that I can name, and I can point to their net worth and their connections and why, and even the philosophies that they believe. I've been treated this way. Yeah. And so all of this reading that I went into to understand it, that's just after the fact. I only did that because I wanted to understand them, because I wanted to fight them.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time because my brain was still rationalizing my decisions after the fact. And that's exactly what that woman is. She's not thinking, I'm going to spend several hours drawing this thing with all the immaculate detail because I know that this JPEG is going to make sure that Top G stays in prison. allegation, right? I'm going to.
Yeah, I think what he's trying to say is like once you're like emotionally invested in something, like there's like no turning back. Like people don't want to admit that they're wrong. It's like either like you go all the way, you're all in, or you're not.
Yeah.
So I think that's what
I was breaking up, wasn't I?
Let's
Thank you.
That
Yeah.
proposition. Let's test that proposition. I went down the rabbit hole with Andrew Tate. I found him to be extremely intelligent, compelling, and actually pretty deep. People tend to see the most profound truths as boring because they don't understand all the implications of those simple statements. I think that's usually why they don't understand it. But Andrew Tate has admitted to basically everything he's being accused of, except with the caveat that any of it was abusive, meaning he's encouraged girlfriends that he did not see a future with to sleep with men to get money so that he could get some of that money because he already knew that this girl was probably going to cheat. And so he's already admitted to prostitution with a girlfriend. He's talked about webcamming. He's talked about working the girls, for hours and hours and hours more than they necessarily wanted to work. And so the question all becomes about what is abuse? Are these women inherently victims or inherently sovereign individuals? And that's a subjective thing. And so people that tend to sway one way will see him as a tyrant. People that sway the other way will see him as top G.
Isn't that what they call like a pimp?
The truth is something else entirely.
Yeah, I said this in the previous show. What I was essentially getting at is that there is no truth but power, and before that gets clipped, and to be honest, I'll probably clip that out of context just to have some fun with myself.
That's the right signal to send.
Yeah.
No,
but I mean,
yes, fascism.
When I say there's no truth but power, I mean that in the Nietzsche sense, from beyond good and evil. Essentially, he goes into like what he essentially gets to that's essentially what all discourse eventually boils down to is like you either believe this thing and you can convince people of this thing or you don't. When Nietzsche talks about it, he goes off into like he's like lamenting the death of objective reality, which is a fair criticism for his time. What the communists and the fascists and the critical race theorists do is they go, well, they just sort of they embrace it. Right?
You cannot kill truths.
No, you can't. It's
you
not like
objective reality.
Physically, it's not like tangible. I get that, but the point I'm trying to make
That's
is
not
like,
what I meant.
there's a middle position here, which is if you're on the side of truth and you believe things to be true, it is your duty and obligation to acquire power, because if you don't, then the sort of Nietzschean position that the conservatives ended up taking back when they had all the power, they just sort of lamented the death of objective reality and let society spiral out of control. And then
there are realities to power.
Yeah.
There are there's that book, The 48 Laws of Power. Like there's reality and truth in the power game, and there's straightforward, honest ways of playing the power game. And I think Trump does a stretched, exaggerated version of that game where the essentials are true, and the everything is just a car salesman strategy of inflating the amazingness and beauty and how terrific and everything is all the time. It's all wonderful. Yeah, so there's absolute the point is noted, but I think that it's attempting to supplant something that cannot be supplanted, right? The idea that God couldn't be dead in the psyches of people. It hasn't worked. Just because some people don't believe doesn't mean that the idea is dead. It just means that some people are not in tune with, the truth. If that's the way I'm persuaded, So, and that's fine. Like that's perfectly natural. That's going to happen. People won't be in tune with the truth, and that's okay. It's always been the case to some degree. We're all naive to the vast truths of the universe. We're all just guessing at our best. And we live in a strange world. But, Yeah, we cannot sacrifice. We cannot play those games where we are willing to sacrifice the truth to anything. And the statement you made, Trevor, it just made me feel like that was in danger for yourself as well as for us. Now,
No, I'm not saying
I want
sacrifice
to that.
truth.
I want
I'm
to
saying it
talk
is the
about that, but I
duty
want to
of
get back to
people.
the Tate
Yeah.
stuff too.
Well, let Trevor.
It is the duty of people on the side of truth to not only carry a shield, but to also wear full armor and have a sword. Like I'm saying, there's a middle position here but there's a middle side to this of like, oh, we're always on the side of truth, but we don't have any power. So we're always going to lose, and society will always crumble. And the communist side of it, is, well, if nothing is objective anyway, then we can just make reality whatever we want. And if we can make reality whatever we want, we may as well make it as perfect as possible. There's this middle ground of, no, this is the way things are, this is the way things should be, and we know this for this reason, that reason, and the other. And whatever version of truth you want to go with, whether it's biblical truth or like scientific truth, or even like investigative journalistic style truth, whichever way you want to go about that, that is the standard, and it is the duty of conservatives, or people who are interested in forging and protecting that which is wholesome, to do more than simply, oh, well, I guess they'll just take this other institution, they'll corrupt the youth even more. It's no, this is the way things are, and we're just going to assert that, and we assert that by building things instead of like just letting things be taken.
Yeah, I got you. You want to respond, Jay, or?
Yeah, there's nothing to respond to. I kind of highlighted that, and then he clarified. He was talking more so about just the practicality of the exercise of soft power. I agree with that completely. When we try to make philosophical points or even refer to things like that, I just think we need to be careful. And when something fundamental like that, I disagree with to the degree that I do, I'm always going to address it. But it was just a clarification issue. And so we got through that.
I tend to be a bit of a schizo on these streams, so it's okay.
No, you're fine.
You want to get back
to the course of conversation.
You wanted to get back into the Tate stuff?
Well, I wanted to see what I presented a whole bunch of facts, and you guys didn't really have anything to say about it. I'm interested in what you guys have to say about it. We kind of just went on to the next subject.
Well, yeah, specifically, if
the things that I say are true, what do you think?
About like the prostitution stuff.
The fact that he's admitted to basically everything he's being accused of except abusing women. Whether or not he abused a woman in a specific moment is the only thing up for debate.
I guess it just depends on like the women's involvement in it. Like if they were willing to do that stuff on them, but that's very different than like people have this image of fed them fish heads once a week and just forced them to fuck other guys while you got money or something. I think that it just depends on like.
Specifically, what Andrew Tate is accused of is engaging in the lover boy method, and then using that in order to engage in sexual exploitation. That being,
do you guys believe prostitution should be legal?
I am a devout Christian man, so no.
Okay, what about you, Benevolent Asshole?
Well, that's the important question, is that because where he was caught, supposedly, that's like out of our jurisdiction, right? So it's not like in the United States. He was he was accused. Where was he? Like in Romania? So in terms of like the laws over there, I don't know if that's against the laws, but over here, is it against the law to do what he did? Is that would be considered prostitution, or
in Nevada, prostitution is legal?
Is that like extorting people?
Yeah. I think he was just asking us if like we personally think.
Yeah, because he's admitted to being a pimp.
Yeah.
He's admitted that his dad was a pimp, and so I think prostitution should be legal. And so
Yeah,
I see women as sovereign individuals. So I'm like, it sucks, but these women have to just deal with these realities. You got to be careful. I look out for women. I believe we should look out for women. I could criticize Andrew Tate as to he might not always be doing that, but
I mean, I in some way do think it should be legal if it's like kept. I can understand it being. They're going to be taken advantage of, but again, I think that's just a matter of. So I mean, I guess you could say I'm probably. It's not something I want my cookie.
Yeah. I think if you care about the women involved in it that do choose that, they're obviously safer in legal systems. That's not even up for debate if you've looked into the issue at all. Mm-hmm. If you don't care about that necessarily and you just care about it being a scourge on society, you might take a slightly different take, but like separating when women have transactional sex and when they don't, as that's gold diggers. Like that's just what they do. A big chunk of them.
Like my concern doesn't really like lie with the women. Like I'm in Gen Z, and like the whole dating for our generation is like completely screwed. And like I understand that in the animal kingdom, like animals like will trade food for like sex and stuff like that, but I don't really like. Everyone cares about the women that get involved with that prostitution and stuff like that. Yeah. I care about the men that consume pornography. That's what I care about, because it's really not good for you.
Yeah,
like it's like. Live and let live. Like if women want to like engage in pornography or whatever, and then like only lesbians can engage in porn, like I guess I can be kind of okay with that, because it's like it's really bad for like men, specifically like specifically teenage boys.
Yeah, that is one thing I've just thinking about, just like how accessible just porn is to kids. Really insane. Like I'm older. I think me and BA. I remember like when the internet first came about, and it was kind of just porn sites were kind of hard to come by. Like you had to pay and shit like that. And now just Google blowjob or something.
Infinite communication and infinite knowledge at infinite convenience, and 60% of it is disgusting, vile, so-called intimacy between other people that you get to enjoy from thousands of miles away, and perv on other people at your own convenience.
I think a lot of the problems with men today, and the testosterone, sperm counts, and all kinds of other behavioral issues, comes down to the microplastics and the various poisons that we've had in our food and our water supplies for
definitely
60 years now. Mm-hmm. And like much of the behaviors, including the transgenderism and everything, they're turning the frogs gay. That the truth scientifically behind that is that this transgender phenomenon is growing in part because of social dynamics, but also in part because of like failing health of our entire society, because we've fundamentally been corrupt for 6 decades. And only the rich people get the good food.
Like interesting, you would say that. I don't want to like pivot too much away from like what we were talking about, the whole Andrew Tate thing, but I have noticed that even with heterosexual men, I've noted that are like in heterosexual relationship. It's so weird because it's almost like they're reversing roles. They're like the man is starting to look more like a woman, and then the woman is starting to look more like a man. And it's them just embracing progressivism or whatever you want.
It's the whole
progressive agenda.
It's so embracing the fall of Greece and Rome.
It's like they're not. yeah, it's like they're not gay. It's like, or they start off looking more like males and your traditional male and female, but then like over the years, it seemed like the guy is starting to look more like a woman, and then like the woman is looking more like a guy.
Yeah,
I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, it's a trip.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if it was last week or the week before. Which family in Tokyo, and there was just happened to be in that little shopping center. There was like a K-pop day celebration in one of like the boba places, and me and my girl were like looking at the pictures of all like the K-pop boys, and they're like the most feminine thing. And it's just
Yeah,
weird.
BTS.
I wouldn't know.
The eyeliner probably doesn't help too much.
But
Yeah,
Also,
it's
women-
really weird.
it's just
Yeah.
odd
Women
that like
also have different like partner preferences statistically. It's been proven
it's just
that when
odd.
they're on the pill versus not, like their preferences change.
It's just odd that like the hot guy, the girl, teen girl is like the most feminine dude ever. What is happening? Like,
Yeah, I've started
that's,
noticing that.
that's like if I had like a super boner for like chicks, like it just
Yeah.
makes sense to me. But it's
But there's a lot.
One
There's a lot of
Direction
guys
was
that
a
like
thing.
that though. I mean, there's a lot of chicks that like feminine boys. Like a certain amount of all this is just people are different and people are gonna do their thing. And like, I don't. So it's interesting with the gender stuff and all that. I was a gender abolitionist, I believe is the word, before this was ever a thing, because I just thought about things in terms of sex. Like there's male, female, it's a biological reality. And then there's who you are as a person and what you like doing.
Yeah.
And those don't have to be related in any inherent way. It's just you do you. You do your thing. You be authentic to yourself. And so all of the like most obnoxious gender, transgender activists, defender, whatever people, all of them are gender abolitionists, which means that they believe that the whole concept should be tossed out of the freaking thing anyways. So it's all crap. It's just a giant freaking stupid ass game that they want to play, and it's all bull crap. Ask anyone. That's the trigger question. I asked one of these people that question. Actually, I've asked two, and both of them immediately started defending their position and saying how that doesn't invalidate, transgender people's arbitrary identities that are words that don't refer to any part of reality.
What question?
And I was like, gotcha.
What question did you ask?
Are you a gender abolitionist? Do you believe that the concept of gender should be tossed out the window? People should not, whatever your biological reality, that should not in any way relate to how you want to live your life. If you want to be a dude in a dress, go around, do your thing. If you want to not wear underwear and flash people, we have a much different discussion. But assuming that doesn't happen, who gives a shit? I don't.
Yeah,
Of
that's like a term that like was created like not too long ago, right? Like in the 70s or 60s. If you guys watch What a Woman Wants, or not What a Woman Wants, what is a woman?
Movie? I like that one.
No,
What is
the Matt Walsh movie. Where he's talking about that one guy, I think the Doctor of Sciences or
the one who like dressed like all like anime, like that guy. Guy slicked his hair back.
I don't know. I think it was where he raised two boys. I think I don't know.
Kinsey. Was it Kinsey? Alfred Kinsey?
It might have been Kinsey.
Alfred Kinsey.
I think he's the one that developed the word.
No, John Money.
John Money. Yeah.
One of those two guys.
I mean the word gender. Yeah.
He was the Angela of America.
The concept of non-binary actually in and of itself creates a binary between those who are in the binary and those who are not in the binary.
I think
Inception.
Yeah.
I think I would ask anybody that's like into the gender stuff, just like, but ask them just like, does it truly make you happy being? I don't think they.
Like
Did
Jordan
it feel
was
good
saying,
when the doctor cleaved your dick off? Did you enjoy that?
Well, like Jordan was saying, like it says nothing about your personality, like what you gender you define yourself as or describe yourself as. It says nothing about you. It just says you're fucking idiot.
Yeah, like
you're an idiot.
Like when I was in college, a lot of the people that were like that, they were they were actually a lot more. They were very uninteresting. Like they weren't into anything fun. Like I don't know, it's like they just wore this costume, and beyond that, okay.
Yeah, like do you skateboard? Do you
Yeah,
draw?
there's
Do you like
nothing.
go out and like hike? Do you go run? Like what do you do like for fun? Like what do you
Have you
like
touched
building
grass
stuff?
once in your life?
Yeah.
Have you guys ever noticed that there's no tomboy trainings?
The genocide of
I
tomboys is something that deeply affects me. As you know,
I I,
Yeah,
I
like
I met a transgender woman, biological male, at Amazon when I worked there many years ago. And what I found was that this was the most boring human being I had ever tried to communicate with. I was nice. I didn't give a shit. I didn't even know initially.
Yeah,
She was very passable. That's fine. And I was just like, we were just talking, and it there was just no conversation, no value, just nothing was there. They had nothing, like there was just nothing there, and I was just blown away. Uh,
that's just something with a
I was
lot of
like,
like.
maybe that's how they become interesting.
I don't know. There's something about like a lot of the any kind of left wing activist people. They're all relatively like they have a fakeness to them. It's the like there's one kind of still remember the first time I kind of met her. I think I was driving her somewhere and like I was playing hip hop music and she was just like, "Oh, do you like Guru and Gangstar or something like that?" But she said it like in this very kind of salesman-y fakeness, and I was just like, it just turned me off from like the conversation. I was like, oh, yeah, yeah, it's just something like there's an emptiness with. Can't explain. I guess we can.
When you cannot think for yourself, you let other people think for you.
That's them or anything. I guess we can get into the. We can kind of sort of get into like this Texas bill and pull it up, DA.
oh, okay, hold on, give me a second. It's like in the chat you said.
Should be in there. Was it Timcast link?
I think that was
Sorry about the tax break one, right?
Yeah. But also this, I find the timing
Okay,
of this.
yeah, go ahead.
I find the timing of this bill kind of interesting. Was it 2 weeks ago or something when that Chelsea Handler viral video of like how happy I am and like kids kind of shit, and then it worries
I get
me.
to masturbate and smoke weed. Look at how awesome my life is.
Yeah,
It's like,
and I see this bill, and it's just it's nice to see that like the importance of it, kind of, at least in some states, is kind of making a comeback.
Well, it's countering like that sort of like narrative.
Yeah, that's something I've been noticing that like narrative growing more and more. Especially with something like Sex and the City, I think it was called. Yeah, Sex and the City. I never liked that show, but just the message it was seemed so. I got this like vibe of like selfishness from it.
Well, even like Friends. Friends is like really funny, but like even Friends, it has like that sort of dark, sort of like undertone where, especially Phoebe, where she's like really funny, but at the same time she's very, very, very dark in a lot of instances, where it's just like self worshiping yourself. Like uh, it was a Chelsea Handler, the one we were talking about last
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
That shit was like kind of like praising being single and being alone, being able to do all this stuff for yourself, but not really, it just being really being empty inside, not admitting to herself just that she's really miserable. But
yeah.
sort of like glorifying it. It's like, why would you want to be her? But even like, but I mean, that's good that they're countering with these kind of builds because in actuality, like practical means, like this is actually good for the economy too. I mean, I know that's not a good selling point, but it's actually, I mean, don't people want to be working? Don't you want to be drawing for a living? Don't you want to be actually doing something? Like the reason why people can do stuff like what we do, like or draw for a living, is because the economy is like somewhat okay. Like the economy, the better the economy is, the more jobs like art and like jobs that involve entertainment can really triumph or like really prosper. But when in an economy where there's like people just kind of self-worshiping themselves, it's eventually going to fizzle out. I mean, I can remember like way back, like in the early 2000s, like working at a theme park, and the people that would spend the most money are like happy families, couples, people that are happy. Usually couples, if you approach them, they're the ones that want to get drawn together.
Yeah.
Families, they want to get drawn. They want to get the baby drawn. That's what kind of keeps the economy going and prevents it from becoming stagnant. I don't see how people can't see that. It's like this very. I'm not. I'm not like. I'm not even like a numbers guy either.
But there's also like
you got.
You get cut off?
No, I told you. I said.
I would say like on a like a evolutionary aspect, I guess. Like it's good when people have kids because species.
Yeah. How awful.
Yeah, it's. But you were
everybody's prospering.
Yeah.
This is like, I don't know, like serious countries do this. Basically, every Eastern European country does this. Japan does this. Most Western countries subsidized marriage with tax breaks to at least a certain extent.
Yeah.
You know, because the most important like, I understand that.
Oh, you keep getting cut off.
Oh, sorry. I understand that, like, as a Protestant, that like marriage is like a covenant with God, and like and continuing that teleology and things like that. But the importance that marriage has for civilization specifically is precisely what it says right there. It's like everything that's on there. Texas Republican introduces bill providing tax breaks to families who stay married and have kids. The only word in that entire sentence that matters is kids.
Mm-hmm.
Right? The reason you have marriage in society is because it is the best avenue for the children that couples eventually produce.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's bizarre
people are getting lazier. People are getting lazier. You know, they instead of thinking I can have a career and have a family, and many people in Chelsea Handler's industry do. So it's just a fact that you can do it, and that's a fact for pretty much any dream that you can do that and you can have a family. It's just a matter of effort and time. There's 168 hours in a week. You can get a lot done, but because they make the lazy choice and they say, you know what, because of I don't want to put in the effort, I'm going to say I can only do one or the other, and I'm going to pick the career. Then they regret it. They realize it was a false choice, and instead of admitting to that truth, and it's a hard truth to live with, they live in denial and actively try to reinforce that they think they made the right decision. When Chelsea Handler was doing it, like, she's not a great actress, to be fair, but like, I could clearly tell that she was trying to act it out, but it didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel genuine. It felt like defensive, fake, like projection of insecurities. And it's you know, the project of help not only bringing other human beings into this world to go through this crazy experience we have, but getting to engineer and support and help, you know, bring forth the blossoming of a new person. That's one of the coolest things you could ever do. And we're creative beings. You know, you literally create a new being, or multiple if you have kids. Speaking of Tate, actually, in one of the videos that I found from the archives is Hungary apparently says you don't pay any taxes if you have 4 kids or more. And it's because they will inherently pay for the taxes themselves, and you're supporting society. And I really like it. I think it's an awesome an awesome deal. I would support going that far, saying you have 4 kids or more, biologically verified, same parents, married, boom, no taxes. Done.
I don't know. I mean, I just drew blank.
Shooting
The
blanks.
family is important. Kids are very important, and
Yeah.
I remember like being in elementary, and I was like literally like one of the only kids in my. I think this girl asked me if my parents were together, and I said, "Yeah, they're still together," and like she thought that was weird.
Yeah.
And like
I can relate.
I remember just having this gut feeling like that's how to do it.
I was on the other side of that.
Yeah, divorced.
My parents got divorced when I was 14, and they weren't together till I was 5.
Mm-hmm.
Still, me and my 3 brothers all have the same parents, miraculously.
Mm-hmm.
But I was on that side. I was talking to people when people would have parents that were just married the whole time and went the normal route and were still together. And like, I was like, wow. And I would look at the differences in what they had in their life and what I had. And I couldn't help but notice there was a few differences. And it's because they have twice as much investment in terms of their parents, instead of 168 hours, as mentioned before. So whatever, 336 hours, plus the parents can take breaks. That's a multiplier effect. That's an insane amount of increased investment, time and money. It's a game changer. And, people are so irresponsible with what they want. They want to have sex and not care about getting pregnant. And then when someone gets pregnant, they want to not have to deal with it. And that's why they care so much about certain things, because they don't want responsibility. And you can't escape it. Even just as a fellow citizen, if you don't set a good example, you're bringing us all down. That's just how it works. You can't even escape it. You can't escape it.
Like, I remember in 2022, like early 2022, like all of my friends in high school were just like, oh, we're going to this place, and we're going to that place, and we're oh, look at I'm at this party with all these people, and I'm just like, you have unlimited time and like no financial responsibilities because you're 19. Like, I don't know. That's just because I've always been the weird kid. I've always been the weird kid who just didn't quite get it, kind of thing. And I see that everywhere. And I know that if like I refriended all like the weird lefty people from high school on Instagram or whatever, I'm sure they'd be freaking out about the Texas bill where women can monetize the reproductive capability and be like in the same standing with men by doing the thing that they do, which is the thing that feminists have always complained about. That's not my thing. That's Jordan Peterson's thing. I'm just stealing it very poorly. But like, I don't get how you can see this is not a good thing. That being said, it's someone proposing legislation. It's not like a law being passed. But I mean, it's a step in the right direction. But like any country, any government that takes its own civilization seriously, this is a no-brainer. Like, I don't even know like why we're even talking about this. Like, because like it's like what you said, Jay, with Hungary. It's like each kid is going to grow up and pay and repay any of the taxes that those two would have done anyway. So you may as well not tax the parents so that these children can grow up more economically stable and then build themselves up more. You literally only have an income tax if you want to keep people poor. That's what an income tax is. Well, that's what all taxes are. They're designed to keep people within a certain economic zone that they can't go out of or they can't go out of, basically. Because if you make $100,000 a year, you got to take some of that has to go away into the pyramid scheme of Social Security, and then income taxes, and then state taxes, and then federal income taxes. If you're making $100,000 a year and you own a small business, and that takes like at least 2 years to make something like that. With the internet, it can speed up, and you can certainly like reinvest profits into like client acquisition faster than you can before with social media. But like that takes a lot of time, effort, money, dedication to build something like that. But the thing is, if that's taxed, then you end up by the time all the taxes goes into it, then you only really have half of it, and that's your living expenses. Taxes just keep you poor. Like, it's the only point to them. That's what they're for. Register an LLC in Nevada, and then have the LLC owned by a shell company in Dubai. It'll cost $500. You're welcome.
A fundamental principle for me is that the government should treat us equally before the law. So I'd be fine with just being taxed as an individual. You would automatically, favor people if you have a progressive tax system or just not a traditional income tax system. Even you would favor people that have dual incomes that are lower as opposed to a single income that is higher, and that inherent sort of natural byproduct, I think, is just fine. Like taxing people individually. If you have a couple that earn $60,000 a year each, they should not pay the taxes of $120,000 for the household. They should pay 15% each, or whatever it would be. I'm in favor of an asset tax, not a consumption or a income tax, because assets are by definition what attracts money. So you might as well, 3% a year, everything's handled. But it's interesting, like with the Don't Say Gay bill and sort of censorship of the no ideas in education, which I think is fine. It's kind of ironic to see leftists being like, the government is censoring information. It's like, whoa, you finally got it. Now you're a libertarian. Thank you. Oh, wait, you're not? Oh.
You're censoring what we like.
Okay, that's fine. So while we're playing the game of the government controlling things, they should favor families over single individuals, because they are contributing more to society, and it's a collectivist kind of a thing, isn't it? The only collective they don't care about is the family. The nuclear family is the enemy.
Yeah. I guess we can end speaking of this. BA?
Yeah.
Yeah, this kind of just came, I think, just today.
Oh, okay. I'll have to go back and find it.
I think it's the last link on.
Okay. Graham. Okay, I found it. Share.
Children to have. We know what that. We have experienced.
Oh, should I like full screen it? Okay, so you can see this?
I just want to say I love Grace and Frankie. I think it's a cool show.
I've never seen it, but
it says the
like
view
Lily
in the
Tomlin.
corner, and I can feel my spine coiling.
I guess let's play it to see why we want to talk about this.
Ready?
Yeah, go ahead.
We have experienced many decades now of having agency over our body, of being able to determine when and how many children to have. We know what that feels like. We know what that's done for our lives. We're not going back. I don't care what the laws are. We're not going back.
I think the women will rise up.
That's the activist.
That's Jane
speaking, and she probably will get a Nobel Prize.
But it's the truth.
Very soon.
It is the truth. We're not going to do it.
Besides marching and protesting, what else do you suggest?
Well, it doesn't happen overnight. It's not a miraculous
What did you say?
Murder.
She's kidding. Wait a second. She's just kidding.
Don't say that. That's
you don't know. They'll pick up on that and
Yeah,
just run
that's
with
the
it.
worst.
She's just kidding. It's
Well, let me talk to you about. Let's move on and talk about Jane's activism, which is legendary.
Yeah, that is not the face of a woman who is kidding.
Yeah.
Women don't have there are like 5 women on the planet with a sense of humor, and that psychopath is not one of them. Like this is exactly
I'm thinking, like who would they get to kill? You know, it wouldn't be them.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be them doing the killing. Old women. It would certainly not be them doing the killing. I don't know. It's just funny. Funny people who are not capable of violence talking about being violent. It's just adorable.
Whenever I see shit like this, it's like, what happened to like the pro-choice side of the argument? When I was younger, maybe I'm just naive, but it felt like the position was a lot more tamed. And now it's just gone so extreme where saying this on like a daytime show that like mom watches when she's doing laundry or something like that. Like, how the fuck did the movement get so insane like that?
It was a Mott and Bailey.
I know it's not funny, but they're using comedy as a vessel to like introduce stupid ideas like this for people to like accept it. Like, oh, she's just joking around, and then like in the end, like it's like just kind of like sliding into people's brains. And it's like the Shook Knight video that I told you about. I know it's gonna go over people's heads, but if you guys look up a video, it's still on YouTube. Eventually, it might not be on YouTube, but it's still on YouTube on Jimmy Kimmel, where Shook Knight goes on there and he starts making a joke, something about. If you guys remember, ECE passed away because of AIDS, but he makes a joke about. Taking out Eazy-E, like the sort of like Eazy-E way, by like injecting the like he introduced it by saying like, you know what, it used to be that we used to shoot somebody to murder somebody, but now all you have to do is do it the Eazy-E way, and then like just like shoot somebody, like inject somebody with the AIDS vaccine, and the backstory, and people laughed on Jimmy Kimmel, and so that's how they disarm people. That's how they introduce stupid ideas like this. And the backstory about this is that I can't remember the name of the guy that brought this up, but the way supposedly this happened, or the way it happened to Eazy, is that he used to get acupuncture. So supposedly, allegedly, that's how he was taken out. They tainted one of the needles with the AIDS virus, because shortly after his acupuncture session, that's when he got really, really sick, and eventually, like, he passed away.
There's something funny about just imagine Eazy like. It sounds so like new age that you wouldn't think would be like an ex-dope dealer, I think.
Yeah, I think that was kind of like a trendy thing to do, though. Like I remember seeing a lot of like people, just like something that they would do.
Yeah, that was really big in the 90s.
In the 90s, yeah. There's like a 311 video where they're doing acupuncture, the all mixed up video. Right there. It's kind of like around that 90s sort of like era where it kind of like became kind of big for a while.
Yeah, but I mean, how the fuck is this so? Like, I think I brought this up before. Like, but when did like we get to a point where like being pro-life seems extreme or controversial, but being like this woman is like the norm? How the fuck did we get here?
We've been there.
We've been.
It's kind of like back and forth, I think, yeah. And it like the truth doesn't require you.
Just the internet made it so that we can see all this stuff.
And then the truth, you don't have to necessarily be like an intelligent person. I think the reason why people give in to this lie is because you have to be a very, very evil, intelligent person to convince people that it's okay to kill babies in the womb. That's what it takes. It takes like some.
I think dumb people can do it too.
Yeah, but it's just like. So, at this point,
you
because
need to convince dumb.
I think at this point, because repetitive like propaganda and just like people just getting it like just like watching shows like Friends. Friends is something that, because that was for its time was kind of like new. It was like very similar to like Sex in the City, where it used to be that there was like the old sitcoms. There was always the mom and the dad, and they're always together. They're like they would never get divorced. They were always together. They would sleep in the same bed. But like then in the 90s, they introduced Friends, where none of them were married. They're all kind of sleeping around, just kind of testing waters, or like just kind of like both the guys and the girls were technically sluts, and none of them really believed in getting married. Eventually, two of them actually did end up getting married towards the end, but it's just like that sort of like they use comedy in a way to inject it to people in a way where it's like a sedative.
Yeah.
Where it's like things that you would do while being drunk are not the same things that you would do while you're sober. People do a lot of stupid things when they're drunk, and that's where the whole you can trick stupid people if you're sedated with like alcohol or drugs.
There is there is a solution. There's this meme called Liberty Prime, and it basically Liberty Prime is a robot, and he doesn't like things commie. He doesn't like commie things, and he reminds you. Liberty Prime will remind you not to fall for the commie psyops. That's it. There is no punchline to this joke.
Watch out for the commies, said the fascist.
Yeah.
Watch out for the fascists, said the commies. And there's the rest of us just standing there like, shut the fuck up.
Watch out for the normal people, say it, the schizos.
All right, I guess we could. All right, I guess we could go. Last words. I guess we'll start with Jay. If you have anything you want to say goodbye with?
Yeah, YouTube channel is Modern Moderate News. Instagram and TikTok are the Uncommon Moderate and Modern Moderate News. Check out my stuff if you find my analysis intriguing and interesting. I do, and I think you should check it out. I wouldn't be here blabbing my mouth if I didn't think I had something to say. But I would just like to tell everybody that cares to listen, that I can recognize that I have not put in the most effort into what I do because I had the wrong mentality. I have more of a giving spirit now, and I think I got my head right. So, all that being said, follow me, Modern Moderate News, the Uncommon Moderate. More stuff is coming.
I think you're retired, but cool.
I thought so as well.
I changed my mind a lot. Let's hopefully that trend stops though. We'll see.
Trevor?
Yeah, my name's Trevor Brown. You can go to you can follow me on Instagram at Trevor_Allen_Brown or Getter on Trevor_Brown. And if you want to DM me, I will create a fully automated, done-for-you content strategy that will scale your brand on social media from 0 to 40K plus in followers and revenue in 3 months. Thanks so much.
All right, BA, any last words?
Just made like a quote.
Sure, go ahead.
I'll end with I don't know if you guys listen to like Kinky is like a Mexican band, but I always thought like some of their lyrics are kind of interesting. But it was something like it's in Spanish, but I'll translate it. It was something like para que un mundo sea perfecto, hay que quitarle la verdad. And what that means in English is for a world to be perfect, you must remove the truth. And I think that happens to relate to what's going on now because the truth is not very popular because people like to be lied to because the truth is kind of hard to swallow. So it's like there's like Thomas Sowell also said, it's like there's no solution, only trade-offs. That's it.
Does sound better.
Yeah.
It's almost as if the Romance language is more poetic than the swamp German language of English.
All right, I guess, guys, thanks for watching. Join the conversation, just comment here and there. Like, share, subscribe. Hope I can get my music show up and running within 2 weeks or something like that. Also looking to vend more. So yeah. Also check out my Big Cartel store if you want to help support me. Yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching.
Physical media is forever. Buy Laserdisc.